It's funny how the story of the boogeyman scares people, scares little kids. And I remember when I was little, I used to sleep with a nightlight. And it's not because I was scared of the dark. I slept with a nightlight because I like to read at night. But the hard thing about being a military brat is that we move so often. We would move into these houses, into these neighborhoods that I didn't have the history on. I didn't know anything about them. So when you're up in the middle of the night reading and you hear that bump, go bump in the middle of the night, according to this episode, maybe you should pay attention. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, Newt from the Ville. So in the last episode, we're introduced to our new doctor, Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor. And he crash lands in London in a backyard. And there just happened to be a little girl in the backyard, and she's in a room by herself. And there's a crack in her wall. It's a weird crack, looks like a smiley face. And she prays that somebody send something to help her, send the police. And then a police box crashes in her backyard. Yay, I'm saved. The doctor comes out. He's soaking wet. His clothes are toe up. He's talking crazy. This little girl just invites him in the house. He starts eating her food and spitting it out on the floor. And it's a weird ass scene. Definitely, Chris Hansen needs to be called. It's a strange scene. He starts eating fish fingers, fish sticks and custard. And she's going the traditional route, just having, ice cream for dinner. Good girl. And we find out that her name is Amelia Pond. The doctor figures out that there's something wrong with the crack in her wall, that it's actually a break in space and time. And he finds out that it somehow leads to some sort of prison. And when the prison guard says that, dude zero, prisoner zero has escaped. And she's like, the doctor's like, escaped? Escape where? He's in his house? And the doctor is looking around in the house, and he kind of keeps looking out the corners of his eyes, his peripheral vision, to see if he can see what's going on. And he says, you know what? I need to do a little research. He goes back to the Tardis, and he says, I'll be back in 5 minutes. The little girl goes to her room, packs all her stuff, goes and sits on the ground outside and waits for him to show back up. The doctor is gone, and he does show back up. He goes back to the house, and he says he knows what it is. However, because the TARDIS be wibbly wobbly tammy whammy, he's gone 12 years. So when he goes back in the house, he gets cracked in the face with a cricket bat. He's out. Finds himself chained to a radiator. A grown woman with red hair in a police outfit says she's calling the backups, and he's like, no, we need to get out of here right now. And they start going through it, and he's like, how many rooms on the floor? She's like, 5. He said, no, it's 6. And she's like, what? He said, look out the corner of your eyes. He said, look in that space you dare not look. And she looks and she sees that there's another door, another room. She goes in a room, and he keeps hollering, get out of there, don't go in there. She goes in anyway because she's hard-headed. And while she's in there, this thing that looks like a giant piranha worm on an umbilical cord thing, it's ugly. Creeps up behind her. She rushes out of the room. He finally gets his sonic screwdriver to work a little bit, but it's busted for real. And he gets out of the room. They get out of the room. And we find out that this grown woman is actually Amy Pond, formerly known as Amelia Pond. She's grown up. he goes on this series of adventures trying to figure out what is actually going on and what is Prisoner Zero, and where is, because Prisoner Zero comes out of the room as a person and a dog. We find the guy got out of the house. He's in the middle of the park, and there's a dude, a nurse, an orderly, that's taking pictures of the dude and not the spaceship that just pulled up, because the prison, the warden, whatever, the prisoners, not the prisoners, the prison guards or whatever showed up and said, hey, either he leave y'all's house or we gonna burn your house down. Now we thinking they just mean the house. No, they mean the whole earth. They're gonna incinerate the earth. They got 20 minutes. The doctor got 20 minutes to find this alien and get rid of him. The doctor does what he does. Long story short, he does what he does. They find that the alien had been tied into like a psychiatric ward, and all these people who were in a coma, he was pulling their thoughts and their visions, their dreams. He does all this, and in one of the greatest introduction for the doctor, once he gets rid of Prisoner Zero, the little prison guards, they try to bounce, and the doctor calls them on the phone and tells them, hey, by the shadow proclamation, bring your ass back. They come back, and the doctor gets with them. He's like, did the humans break this rule? Nope. Did they do this? No. Were they a threat to know this? And you threatened to burn their whole planet down? He said, this is what I'm going to need you to do. He said, I'm going to need you to put some respect on my name and check my history. He said, is this planet protected? And they started looking back, and seeing all the people that rode up on the earth, the Santarans, the Sycorax, the Daleks, the Cybermen, like everybody. Then the Arachnos, everybody that rode up on earth and pulled this bullshit, the Santarans, and see who thwarted them at every point. Who was that guy? The doctor. And he said, just know, don't you come back around here no more. He said, don't make me have to deal with you. And they bounce so fast. But I mean, the way he did the whole scene was so gangster. Like, he was like, what? And it was a great introduction. At the end, we find out that the orderly dude was Rory, is Amy's fiance, and she's supposed to be getting married the next day. And the doctor comes back at the end. He bounced. Like, as soon as this was over, he bounced. But he tried to put things right. So he went back to the little girl that had been waiting 5 minutes. And then he showed back up later. He'd be like, my bad. And he's like, all right, you want to roll with me? And he said, he found that, being alone, he found himself talking to himself, and he just needed that moral compass, or what have you. With some persuasion and somebody kind of looking to get out of their own situation, Amy relented and she decided to ride with the doctor. Edgar Allan Poe once said, all that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't do horror. And even though this episode doesn't really qualify as horror, not like some of the other Doctor Who episodes that we've seen that are much closer in the vein to horror, the principle is still the same. That whole looking out of the corner of your eye and that thing that you dare not look at, that thing that scares you to pieces, can have you, give you paralysis. That's a very real thing. Anyone who doesn't live with at least a little bit of their fear in their life is a liar or someone I don't want to be around. Because fear gets your blood pumping. The whole adrenaline that comes from a fight or flight is very, very real. And that's how you know where you stand. Everybody is not called to fight in every occasion. And sometimes you can't just run. Sometimes you got to stand your ground. Unless you're Jonathan Majors. If you're Jonathan Majors, you should run, sir. keep running, run your ass off. Sad thing in this was that Amy said some things. She was left alone a lot by her aunt, and what she said, no one believed her, and she ended up finding psychiatric help to the thing that she knew to be true in her heart. They made her believe that that's not true, and people would do that all the time. They would downplay your hurt. They would downplay your pain. They would downplay your feelings and make you think that you are crazy. Now, I know that a popular term these times is called gaslighting. And that's a little bit different, because gaslighting is a manipulation tool, and it's something that someone uses to manipulate you into not thinking that you know what you're talking about. That does not qualify when a person has proof. Problem is, Amy had no proof. She had no proof that anything she said about the doctor, seeing a raggedy doctor, any of that was true. No matter how much she held it to it, she had no proof. There's not really a fix for things that scare you, things that go bump in the night. But the one thing you can do is face your fears. I heard Will Smith say one time that if you want to be successful, success is on the other side of the door that you are so afraid to go through. That's a powerful quote. It's not easy. God knows it's not easy to face your fears. But if you want to get somewhere, that's how you got to do. Success is often on a road that you avoided to get to where you're going. This is Rakai Steed, new from the Ville. Make sure you like, comment, share, and by all means, subscribe. Anybody you know who is not subscribed, get them to subscribe. Watch this video in the background. Just put it on a playlist and let it roll. I need the viewing hours. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to do it. And I appreciate everyone who's jumped in and subscribed. I'm trying to do a special giveaway for some people when I hit 1,000. So it's gonna be nice. Remember, at all times you gotta use this, but you gotta use this too.